We're checking up on the Coffemel.
So, we made this back on, oh boy, it was a while ago. 1/15/2020. We actually checked it on March 15th, 2020, and it was down to 10:54, and I said, I want this to go a little bit further. Today is 5/7, and we're going to test it again. Today we're going to rack it, though, because I think this is going to be done as much as it's going to be done, and that is perfectly fine by me. And first, as always, I'm going to take a reading. Why do we take a reading at this point? Well, to see if that dropped anymore, to see if it's done, and so that we can calculate how much ABV this has. Not that the alcohol is the important bit, because really it's more about how safe is it to bottle or put away at this point. That's really the gist. And I know some people out there going, but Bri, if this is a 1054, that is still really, really sugary. And you know what? They'd be right. However, there are some brews that taste really good at that level. Okay, so this went down to, stop bouncing around on me, 1052. So it didn't really drop much over the last, over a month. 315, 415, 6 weeks, 7 weeks. It didn't really drop much. I'm going to call this one finished. Now, at 1052, is it finished or is it stuck? And that's a question that comes up often. I'm calling this one stuck. However, I'm okay with that.
There are some curious things about this combination that could have caused it to stop where it did. And one of those being that coffee is known for being acidic. Acidity in a brew will hamper the growth and reproduction of yeast.
And it is possible that the yeast just got to maybe their acidic level tolerance too and said, nope, that's it, we're done. But before we discuss what we're going to do to fix it, if we do fix it, I would like to actually taste this. Right off the bat, that is fairly clear. I'm going to call that an 8 out of 10 for clarity. It does have a floaty in there because it was just the croissant kind of came off, but it's okay. It's just croissant. It's not a problem. Smell-wise, it smells very coffee. Very coffee.
Now, this was cold brew.
Yep, this was made with cold brew coffee, which has less acids than full coffee.
Yeah.
So that kind of negates a little bit of that idea, but not completely. To me, it's a very strong coffee smell.
Really coffee.
Yep. This was, well, it was 2 quarts of cold brew, and my cold brew is pretty strong stuff. So, 2 quarts of my cold brew is probably like 3 quarts of coffee for most people. I would imagine this is probably going to be very astringent and very strong at this point. And really, really good.
It has a really interesting sensation, and I know this is going to probably sound a little weird, but my reaction to it is similar to my reaction to a Coffemel.
Yeah. It's mildly reminiscent of a Coffemel. Not in that I taste chilies.
No.
But similar ideas here.
And I wonder if the qualities of a coffee bean, the astringency, the mouthfeel are similar to the qualities of a chili.
It's possible.
When it comes to fermentation.
First, I want to say one thing. This is about 10.8% alcohol. We used Lalvin 71 Beast in this. It should have gone to like 13 or 14%. At 10.8, I worry a little. But here's what's going to happen. We're going to rack this and see if maybe racking it stirs something up. It could happen.
Yeah, there could be an abundance of gases that are stuck in fermentation because we haven't degassed this.
Yeah.
Maybe that's stalling things out.
I don't really know, but it's okay.
It's a mystery.
We're going to go through this adventure together. Okay, and for those of you that think that we just bungle stuff, okay, honestly, I wanted this to go further. I don't really know why it stopped. I have lots of hypotheses. I have lots of ideas as to why it might have, but I don't actually know. And that's the thing about brewing is it's difficult to actually know. Someone's going to say, if I added this or I added this, it could do it. And you know what? They're probably right. It's possible. I don't want to add anything to this. I want to see what will happen. Also, it tastes really good right now.
And that was the point I was trying to make, is that the balance between the coffee with its bitterness notes and stuff.
Yeah, the spicy sweet thing.
Right. Is balanced nicely with the sweetness level that it's currently at. So even if for some reason racking it does start fermentation back up,
I don't think it'll go much further.
If it does, we're probably going to back sweeten it to make it taste like this.
Yeah.
So
this is wonderful.
I'm hoping it's it's stable, so that way we can just drink
The
it as
interesting
is.
thing is because the coffee can be so astringent and bitter, it does not taste like it's 1050
No,
final gravity.
no.
This tastes like a 1015 or a 1020 at most. It's not that sweet tasting.
Yeah.
It's very good though because it doesn't have that cloying. It's not super thick or viscous.
No.
It, I like it. I
It's
hope it
it's
doesn't go any further.
it's
It's really
balanced,
cool.
really nice.
Every once in a while, things don't turn out exactly the way they want, but they turn out the way they could be, and they come out awesome. Okay, so all that aside, we want to rack this so that it can sit further in under airlock and find out what it will do. Okay, so let me just get this out of the way.
So this is a question that has come up recently in our VIP group where they were talking about staging racking so that way you don't have excess headroom. And if you notice, we're going from a 1 gallon carboy style fermenter to a 1 gallon wide mouth. And the reason why we're doing that is because we have noticed in the past
They're different.
that the wide mouth actually has a different volume than the
So,
carboy.
because this is up to about here on this particular carboy, and we have some lease at the bottom, when we rack it down to that level, it'll probably go up to about this part of the neck of this bottle, making it perfect for conditioning. I think we're just going to do the crotchler method. Everybody's seen us rack before. You have to elevate this one and lower this one, put in the siphon, and go. The crotchler method is where I put it in my lap, on my chair, and hold it there. You can't see it because it's under the table, but there are some things that I just don't want to put on camera.
So all this stuff has been sanitized in the red bucket of sanitization, which is right over there.
She beat me to it.
And so now Brian's got the tube end in the new vessel, and I'm slowly and gently putting the siphon end in
Only about
our original
halfway.
one.
It's to about here.
Yeah.
The reason being, it's kind of a violent thing to start up an auto siphon, especially since our seals are starting to go a little bit. Might be time for a new one. It takes a little more pumping action to get it going. We don't want to disturb all the lease at the bottom, so
Right.
we keep it close to the top just for starting it up, and she likes me to do it. That way it's my fault when it makes a mess. And there we go. It started.
Another reason why we're kind of careful in activating the siphon is we don't want to get air stuck in the tubing because that could oxygenate our brew.
Right.
And now that we have alcohol, we don't want oxygen because alcohol plus oxygen with the acetobacters that are present could end up making vinegar. And that's not in our intent.
A word about making vinegar. We've talked about it a lot, and I think a lot of people talk about it. And I want to be clear on one thing. It's very hard to do. Okay? When I say very hard, not impossible. I mean, if you're sloppy and you shake this up and get all kinds of air into it at this point, you have a good chance of making vinegar. But very tiny amounts of air getting in there, probably not going to cause a problem. As far as degassing, this has been sitting for 7 weeks since we last tested it. It's been sitting since January 15th. I would say this is 90% degassed already. So we would be in what some people would consider the danger zone for oxygenation. I'm still not worried about it, and here's why. That little bit is probably not going to do it. I say probably. There's never a guarantee, and no amount of additives makes a guarantee, just so you know. This method, I brought up the additives again because we've had a lot of comments on the channel lately. A lot of newer viewers are finding the brews, and they're scared to death as to how you can do this without sorbating and sulfiting. And I tell them, I never have. We just don't do that stuff. It's just not necessary. If you're smart about what you're doing, you never have to worry about it. And that's where we're at with this one.
So you saw that I tilted it a little bit so that way I could get more of the brew, and then the bottle slipped and you probably saw me grimace a little bit because I agitated the lees just so slightly.
Yeah. But we are going into the first racking here, so a little bit of lease is not a problem. We just want to get the majority out. You need to go a little bit lower there just to make sure there's a lot of air bubbles coming.
Yeah.
But we're almost done. This jar is almost full. I just want to see if you can squeeze a little bit more out. I don't mind if we have to rack this again afterwards. I like this one. As predicted, went to about right here on the lip of this bottle, thus proving these are not the same size. Now, there's some lease in the bottom here. Not that much. We went pretty close. She did a really good job.
If this was a more neutral brew, we would probably keep that lees to use to start a new brew. But because this is a coffee mill, and we're not planning on
Not very
making
neutral.
another coffee mill right
I mean, we could
away.
use it on a mead. I don't know that it would flavor it all that much, but I also worry that these yeast stalled on me. They stopped at 11%. So
Yeah,
I don't know that they're
so
a good colony to rehybridize and use again. So there's a couple reasons why we won't use this one, and it's okay. But for now, we want to put a lid and an airlock back on this guy.
I was just going to use the airlock out of the old fermentation, but when I removed it from the stopper, I noticed that some of the Croissant from the coffee mill had gotten into the base of the airlock. So I'm going to have to go in with my bottle brush and scrub that end out. Luckily, it didn't go past the first bend, because once it gets past there, it's very challenging to get out. You're going to have to soak it a little bit in Star Sand, and I don't like soaking the plastic in Star Sand for too long because
It gets a little
acids
slimy.
and plastic, not good.
Something I want to point out, you might have heard me say I don't worry about getting a little bit of lees because this is just going into the first conditioning phase. And that's the truth. We like to rack at least twice for most of our brews before they get bottled. So this got a little cloudy, we got a little bit of lees in there. That'll all settle out. We'll give this a month, maybe even 2 months. That is bulk aging and conditioning. That's why we like to call it conditioning rather than secondary fermentation. I don't really believe there's going to be much fermentation happening at all, so calling it secondary fermentation just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So we're going to let this clear out, sit under the desk, and see it in a couple of months. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Have a great day.
Bye bye.